Okay. All right. So let's get started as we're on the hour. So thank you all for joining us today. My name is Dr. Reece Akhtar, CEO and co-founder of Deeper Signals. And today we're going to take a deep dive into Deeper Signals solutions, tools, and our platform. So over the next 30 minutes, there's going to be three things that we will be exploring. The first is really trying to take a close look and understand what makes Deeper Signals different compared to other assessment tools out there on the market. We'll also look at some of the science that is underneath our tools. How do we measure different talents and what data powers those insights? And then we'll also look at the platform. And this is going to be the bulk of today's session, is really try to understand how our platform can support some of the key use cases that coaches and talent managers experience and face within their organizations. So just to start, I can see on this call, some people are already in the Deeper Signals universe and some are new. So thank you for your curiosity and interest. So just a bit of backstory around who we are and what we do. So myself and three others, we founded Deeper Signals about 4 years ago now. We've now grown to a team of 20. And really, we are in the mission of democratizing talent insight. So what that means is we want everyone in the workforce to be able to deeply understand themselves, each other, and their teams, and give people practical data and feedback to really affect change and growth within their careers. We pride ourselves on psychological science and data so that we can provide evidence-based insights, but we want to wrap that around a layer of technology and high quality and modern user experience to make that experience engaging, fun, and ultimately useful. So today, nearly 500,000 people have completed some of our assessments, ranging from industries, roles, and countries around the world. We have built a roster of customers that range from green energy to marketing to financial services and fashion. Our clients are coming to Deeper Signals because they are wanting a end-to-end, tech-forward, scientific solution to really hang their talent strategy around. In addition to working with large enterprises, we have built a thriving and global community of coaches that are using our tools within their own practice. And this has been something that's been so fun to build out as I get to meet lots of interesting coaches around the world, doing cool work and being able to help them affect change. So when it comes to comparing Deeper Signals to other tools that are on the market, I would say that there are three key differences when it comes to our solutions. The first is our approach to assessment. So scientific assessments have typically fallen into two camps. They are either very scientific, very expensive, and ultimately require a lot of hand-holding, explanation, and guidance. Now, what that means is it doesn't necessarily scale to the rest of the organization or can be easily used at high volume. What that means is most people then go through their careers without getting feedback and insight. And when it comes to recruiting and identifying talent, it becomes very hard to use scientific and evidence-based tools to make that happen. On the other end of the spectrum, you have very simple, catchy, intuitive tools that lack the scientific rigor to make robust and informed decisions around. When it comes to assessments for Deeper Signals, we are trying to use modern methods, so using machine learning and AI, to keep our assessments as short as possible while maximizing the reliability and accuracy of those tools. Now, what that means is you can then give our assessments to everyone in your organization or every candidate that is applying to your organization in a very quick, lightweight, yet accurate and scientific way. We also invest heavily on the user experience. We know that people don't enjoy doing assessments. We know people don't enjoy doing gimmicky tools. They want a clean, quick, and respectful experience. And our approach delivers on that. It takes just 7 minutes to complete one of our assessments, and it is designed to be mobile first so that wherever you are on whatever device, you can easily complete one of our engaging assessments. The second big differentiator is around what comes next once you've completed that assessment. Most assessments give you some insight, but they are rarely connected to practical outcomes and actions. Whether you are an individual, a leader, or a team member, if you complete a deeper signals assessment, you are going to get practical and interactive feedback and action plans to help you turn this talent awareness and insight into action. These action plans can be used to accelerate onboarding, to provide continuous and personalized development at scale, and to ultimately make managers more effective because they can deeply understand their teams and know exactly what they need to do to improve their leadership skills. And finally, the big difference between us and other assessment companies is that we are just as much as a technology company as we are an assessment company. We have a scalable assessment platform that can be used across your entire organization. It's secure, it's robust, it's multilingual, it can be customized. And what this means is that your talent strategy can sit upon our platform, and we're able to provide insights at an affordable price across every action in your employee lifecycle. So it's engaging assessments that are quick and scientific. It's practical and personalized action plans to turn talent insight into action. And it is a scalable, tech-forward approach that can be affordably deployed within your organization. So there are 3 broad use cases when it comes to using deeper signals. And we are priding ourselves on the ability to offer an end-to-end solution. So our clients come to us because they are looking to find more effective and more affordable ways to not only identify talent in their recruitment pipelines, but to also accelerate the onboarding. Again, there are many tools out there that are useful for narrowing your funnel. But then when it comes to making your decision about who to hire, most new employees struggle to be effective and productive within the first 6 months of their work. What we are able to do is use these talent insights that have been generated by a report, give those to new managers so that managers know how to engage this new hire, how they fit into the dynamics within their team, and then provide a clear, continuous development plan for that new team member. The second use case is really focused on development and coaching. Most people go through their careers without ever receiving personalized and practical feedback. We're able to change that and enable everyone to work to their full potential. With a deeper signals assessment powered by our learning journeys and Dynamo tools, we can provide ongoing, personalized, goal-based feedback that brings about behavioral change in developing the necessary soft skills for growth. And then finally, the fact that we can assess everyone in your organization and enable you to generate accurate talent insights. We can then pair that with robust dashboards and predictive analytics to make it easy for you to build benchmarks, build succession plans, and ultimately align your people strategy with your business strategy. So that's just a little bit about what we do. I'm actually going to now switch to the platform where we're going to actually take a deep dive into some of our key tools and how we can deliver on these 3 use cases of recruitment and onboarding, development and coaching, and then strategy and succession. Okay, so we have 2 assessments. We have a tool called the Core Drivers, which is built around the 5-factor model of personality. For those of you that haven't heard of this framework before, the 5-factor model of personality is a model of personality that has been studied over the last 50 years. It has thousands of research studies demonstrating that our scores on this framework is highly predictive of different work and life outcomes. That's why we use the Core Drivers, because it's evidence-based and it's also open source. So there's tons of research out there that demonstrates the utility of this tool. We also have an assessment called the Core Values, which measures the things that motivate and engage someone, what types of cultures and environments are going to help them thrive, and what types of goals are they likely to set for themselves. Each assessment takes 7 minutes to complete, has been normed across thousands of individuals across the world. It's available in multiple languages, and it's been demonstrated to be not only predictive, but also fair and unbiased. Full technical manuals are online if you'd like to take a look. What you see on the screen right now is the user dashboard. So once a user has been invited to complete the assessment, whether it is a candidate applying for a role or an existing employee taking this as a part of their development experience, they will see something that looks like this. Now, here you can see I don't have any tasks assigned. If there was any new assessments for me to complete, it would be clearly signposted here. Otherwise, I can see what my 3 core drivers are and my 3 core values. So going back to the user experience, most assessments that are very rigorous and scientific are able to generate lots of different insight, but ultimately fall short because it becomes complicated and needs a lot of explanation. What we do is take your data and we compare you to everyone else in our normative database to highlight the 3 ways that you are most unique. When it comes to thinking about your strengths, your development, your career progression, we want you to focus your energy on the things that truly matter. And so that's why we highlight where do you stand out the most, because that's the things that are going to impact your career, the way that you work, and the way that you lead and collaborate. So here we can see that I am most flexible, pragmatic, and reserved. And if I want to learn more about that, I can then click on Deeper Dive to view my core drivers report.
Reece, can I interrupt?
Yes, absolutely.
With a question. So this is the user view, right?
Correct.
The environment where I would like to use the test is a training environment, which means that I don't want the participants to see their results before we're right there with them. So I don't know if there is an option. So that will be, they click on a link, right? Go here, fill in their assessment. And if they click on the link again, after they've done it, they would see their results, correct?
That is correct. That is correct. We're building the feature whereby you can hold a report back, but we firmly believe that the data is the candidates, the employees. It's there to help them understand themselves, their development. And so we want to put the report into their hands to give them feedback into themselves so they can own their development, they can own their career progression. Now, we totally understand that there is sometimes a need to withhold that. We're building that functionality. In the meantime, what you're able to do is provide a slimmed down version of the report that may not include all the feedback that I'll talk about in a second. So you're still able to balance the need for sensitivity as well as giving feedback and insight back to that person.
And are they, when they conclude the assessment, is there any information that leads them, that tells them come back and check out your, so when you completed your questionnaire, what do you see then?
Yeah, that's a great question. As soon as you complete your assessment, you are delivered, you are taken to your report right away. So you would see something like this. So that kind of clear journey about the user is super straightforward and practical. Again, we want to give people the quickest path to getting insights about themselves. And so we don't hold the report back. It doesn't get published. They're able to access it right away. And so what we see here is that user report. This is what we call the pro version of our report, which includes more feedback. As I said, we're able to provide a light version, which removes some of the content that I'll show in a second. But here we can see that what my 3 core drivers are, my strengths, and then also my risks. As I scroll down, I can now learn about what these things actually mean. We have focused very hard on providing a very straightforward, intuitive, and personable language around our assessments so that you don't need a debrief, that everyone can look at this and make sense of it because it's in a language that is human and not something that's designed or made to be understood by psychologists. If you have the pro version, you're able to also look at a deeper dive and see all the other things that we've measured, including the sub-drivers as well. So that's about your strengths. We can also talk about risks. So this is a part of the pro report. So now we're trying to look at, under times of stress and challenge, how do these 3 talents actually become problematic? And how can they get in your way of being successful and effective? So here, what we were able to do is highlight how being flexible, pragmatic, and reserved can turn into challenges. And then we can see some strategies around how to manage these areas of development. If I scroll down, we can then see how this relates to teamwork. So this is a part of both the pro and the light report. And we can now understand how do my core drivers help me become an effective team player? And also how may it you know, negatively or get in the way of me becoming a good collaborator. The rest of the report is talking about leadership and decision making. And we conclude with what's called a digital coach, whereby we serve up interesting resources, guides, articles, so the user can dive deeper to learn more about what their results actually mean. Once a user has completed the assessment, and this is much more focused on the developmental side of things, they're able to start or use our tool called Dynamo. Now, most assessments, as you all know, kind of have a so what problem or a now what issue, whereby I've taken the assessment, I learn all this great stuff, but really, what am I meant to do next? Of course, you can read it, you can try to come up with your own development plan, but most people don't have the time, energy, or knowledge to do that effectively. With Dynamo, we take out all of that pain and make that easy and something that anyone can do. So with Dynamo, what we're able to do is take your core drivers results and based on your profile, serve personalized recommendations for things that you should work on. We can then choose how long you want to work on those goals. And then over that period of time, you're going to receive coaching activity and cards for you to practice. So here is I'm halfway through a sprint. So I've chosen for the next 30 days to increase my innovation potential because I am someone that is called pragmatic using our model. That means I am very tactical, grounded, and may struggle with kind of abstract strategic thinking. And so because I've chosen to become or try to grow my creativity, my innovation potential, I'm now going to get served different activities for me to practice that will help me in service of building out this capability. So for example, each card will have some context to help me better understand and contextualize why this is important. It'll give me some things to practice, and then it will leave me with something I need to commit to practice for that week. I can then leave some reflections and they can mark it as complete. And then I can have this conversation with my coach, with my manager to understand and seek more support in pursuit of this goal. So this tool is useful for onboarding because it's a way of helping that new employee get up to speed and lean into their strengths. It's a great tool for, say, employees that are looking for more personalized development opportunities. And it's great if you're coaching leaders because it's a way of scaffolding and supporting the work that you're doing in between your sessions. So we're just going to switch gears now to talk about teams. So an individual has taken the assessment and they have started to go through some of their development activities. Let's say that you are working with a manager and you're trying to help them increase and expand their leadership capabilities. What we're able to do is take the assessment results and assuming that their team also completes the assessment, we can then provide that manager with insights into their team's dynamics and the cognitive diversity within that group. With the team report, we provide a very simple explanation to managers so they know how to use this result, what it actually means, and then you can also have access to different playbooks. So they have conversation starters, guides for them to practice so they can have more effective conversations with their team using these results. So using the language of the core drivers, we can paint a profile of who this team is. So this is a team that can be most described as being pragmatic, reserved, and flexible. We can then get some explanation around what that actually means. How does that translate to the day-to-day life of this team? And so we can learn about their strengths and their risks. We can then start to look at some analytics. So most managers struggle to engage their teams because they don't understand the need and motivations of their people. So there's a mismatch between a leader's style versus what the team actually is going to react and respond to. And so what we're able to do is highlight the ways in which the manager and the team are most different and what diversity do they have? Is this a team that thinks the same or is there a lot of variation? Both of those things have different consequences and implications for how you should manage and engage them. Now, again, that is typically something that's very difficult to do. However, with the team dynamics report, we make it easy. The rest of this report is disentangling those similarities and differences and helping the leader understand what they need to do to adapt their leadership style to meet the needs of that team. So rather than have like a one-size-fits-all approach, the leader is given the information to adapt their style and so that they can best support their team to become effective. And at the very end, we provide some start, stop, keep doing feedback so the leader has some very tactical and practical actions they can run with their team at their next offsite or team meeting or whatever it may be. Now, the leader can also go deeper. So here we can see all my team members, and I can view a coaching report for each team member. So let's say I am a new manager and I've just inherited this team, or I've got someone joining this team for the first time, and I'm trying to understand how can I best manage and engage them. Again, using the same assessment results that this person may have generated as a part of their recruitment process, we can now take that data and unlock new value and new insight for that organization, because now this team leader can easily understand this new employee's profile, their risks. They can get access to coaching questions, things I can ask this person to help them accelerate their development, things I can use in, say, performance management conversations as we're trying to plot out this person's development plan. And then as well, as a manager, I can get access to practical tips around how to best manage and engage this person. Again, all based on the unique profile of this person, Kaylin. We can also customize our reports too. So across all of our reports, the user reports, the coaching reports, and the team reports, we can work with your organization to map your competency profile, your values framework to our assessment results and provide tailored and personalized feedback so that you can not only understand candidates and individuals against our framework, but against the frameworks that matter most to your organization. So we've spoken about individuals, we've spoken about teams. The final thing I want to show you is the analytic dashboard. So this is really thinking now about how do you manage the invite process and how do you start to use this data in a more strategic fashion, whether that is for recruitment or whether that is succession planning. So if you are an administrator and we have a wide variety of different administrative features and permissions so that this process is secure and private, you would have access to a dashboard that looks something like this. This is where you can start to manage your users, manage invites, and look at reports. So what you can do is create a new project. So a new project could be for a particular cohort you're recruiting for, or if there's a development program happening in your organization, you can create a new project. And this is where you're able to send out invites and view results. So let's say I am leading a high potentials program. I want to invite my people to complete the core drivers assessment. I can send them a link, or I can send them a personalized email, and I can send reminders and nudges. Once the person has completed the assessment, they'll appear in this user table, which is where I'm able to view their reports. So let's say I'm looking at Aisha. I can click on her profile. I can then access summary reports. I can then view the user report, the coaching report. I can even see, her progress on learning journeys and what goals she's working on in Dynamo. I'm then able to start to do more things with that data at scale. So if I switch to this analytics tab, here's where I can see visualizations across my entire account, across both of our assessments. And this dashboard can be customized based on your competency framework. And if we integrate with your HRIS, we can even integrate and display scores such as performance measures or even data from other assessments that may be living in your HRIS. What this enables you to do is then create some very quick and easy ways to visualize talent. So let's say I want to see the profile of my leadership cohort or my succession plan for leaders. With just one click, I can see all of that data update in real time. I can see what type of culture my leadership team is likely to espouse. And then I can also see the behavioral profile of this team as well. If I scroll down here, we can see some examples of what a customized dashboard would look like. For example, we have some fictional performance metrics that could be piped in from your HRIS. So we can see that this team has a very high net promoter score, high performance ratings, et cetera, et cetera. And then we can also see their scores across our standard competency framework. But if we was to map it against yours, you'd be able to do and see those results as well. Let's say we want to start thinking about benchmarks and pipelines. I switch to this competencies tab, this is where you can start to create your own profiles and criteria to sort and filter whether your candidates or your employees and leaders. So what I can do is I can bring up some data. So let's say I want to look at accountability, adapting to change, and anticipating problems. I can now see their scores, low, medium, and high. And let's say this is a set of competencies that I know are absolutely critical to become an effective leader within my organization. And so I want to look across my entire organization to see who meets this criteria, so I can consider them to be put on a high potential development program. If I now go to filter, I can then select those dimensions. And I can say, show me everyone that scores from medium to high. I can then hit apply. And then what that would do is it would highlight everyone in my organization that meets that criteria. I can then tag them and add them to a different group for me to then study, analyze, and work with them outside of the platform. And you can use this feature in the recruitment context as well. Let's say you have used those analytics to identify what a high-performing profile looks like, because you have your high performers take the assessment. You can see what their core drivers are. You can see that they may score high in, say, drive or curious, whatever it may be. You can then use that filtering tool to say, okay, everyone in my hiring pipeline, who meets that criteria? And that would be an additional data point to put into your selection rubric. Again, this can all be customized. We can have a platform that looks like your brand. You can add your own competencies, you can add your own feedback reports, and so that you can really deliver a tool and assessment solution that meets your brand, meets your strategy, and ultimately talks the same language as your organization. So just to wrap things up then, if you want to get started using Deeper Signals, we'll send you a link after this session where you're able to start a free trial. That will enable you to discover your core drivers, so you'll be able to take the assessment for yourself, experience the user journey, and start to explore some of your feedback reports. If you then want to start using the assessment, you can choose from one of our affordable plans, and included within our plans is our certification course, so that you're able to have the information, resources, and guides to deeply understand how to interpret results, how to use the platform, and how to integrate it into your talent strategy. So that takes us to the end of today's session. But we can use the final few minutes to answer any questions that you may have. And you can use the chat or unmute yourself if easier.
Thanks, Reece. Just maybe not a quick question, but only one question, which is, obviously I've been to several sessions. I have the intent to join, but I'm right now sort of in a liminal space. But I have a new client with 100 employees. And so I'm wondering, what's the benefit of it's democratized, right? So
sure.
What's the benefit of them joining versus me joining and then running all of them through my account?
Yeah, great question. So I think there's a few different ways to go about it. So one, even if that client is, say, of 100 people and they want to put everyone through it, they may not necessarily want to be the ones that are driving the deployment and use of it. And so we see that often. And Michaela, like, you will still be the point of contact. You would be the Deeper Signals lead, the one managing the assessments. You could still bring them on as admins. But what I do see is that sometimes enterprise customers, or enterprise users, I should say, don't want to get their hands dirty. They just want to be able to use the tools and have your insights delivered to them. The second thing is, if you were to use the tool with this 100 sized organization, you'd benefit from the volume pricing, which would then spill over into the other customers that you would be working with as well. So we have volume pricing baked in that works across your clients. So as long as you have a Deeper Signals subscription, you're going to be working towards that volume pricing and tiered discounts that we have. So that's kind of another sweetener for you to be managing the process.
Thank you.
What other questions do people have?
Can I ask one more? Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, okay.
So I'm curious to learn more about use in hiring, ethical use.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do a few different things. So one, the assessments themselves, we do a lot of work to make sure that they're fair and unbiased. And so our technical manual is online, so you can see the evidence whereby we don't discriminate across different protected groups, especially here in the US. We also do a lot of work around validation. So we have a growing body of validity data showing the assessment is predicting performance across a variety of contexts. And we'll work with you on building that validation study out. So that's something we're always interested in doing. And then the final part of it is really around how are you integrating the assessment results into that decision? I personally wouldn't suggest that you really make a decision based on personality results alone. I think people are far too complicated, too complex, and talent is more than just personality. So it's always about using it as one data point of many, and then it is used as a way of kind of forming hypotheses about a candidate that you can then validate in your interviews or validate against the additional data that you have gathered in that recruitment process. Oh, you are muted.
Whoops. In the manual, are there suggestions about if a prospective employee has questions like, why do you want me to take this? And how do I know I'm safe? Like, do you already have that information ready to go?
Absolutely. So our help desk has tons of articles, FAQs about those types of questions.
Hi, Reece.
Hey, Mentis.
I wanted to ask whether there's a way to create a success profile. So weighting certain dimensions and then creating that and then seeing what the results come out at the kind of group and individual levels.
Yeah, very, very good question, Mentis. Yes is the answer. So we can do it in a few different ways. There's a more kind of empirical, hands-on approach whereby if you have that validation data, you've done the study or we collaborate in doing that study where we can see ABC dimensions are predictive. They need to be weighted a certain way. We can definitely set that score up. So then you get like a fit score, which you'd then be able to visualize across individuals, teams, departments, and so on as they demonstrated. Or the other approach is to use those filtering tools that I showed you, whereby you can say, right, I want to find everyone that scores, high on this dimension or low on that dimension. You'd then be able to save those filters to be recalled at a later date. So yes is the answer, and there's a few different ways to go about it.
Thank you.
Hi, Reece.
I
have two very quick questions about this. So sort of building on the earlier question around validation. I'm sorry if this spirals out of control a little bit, but it's late in Dubai. I think my big question is that where we don't have consistent empirical data available at this point in time, can you do a synthetic validation exercise using sort of proxies for behavior and predictive traits?
Absolutely. We can do that. We can do that. I would say the validation approach that we have developed is pretty lightweight and can be done quite quickly. So even if you don't want to use synthetic validity coefficients, there is another quick way about it, and I can follow up with you after this call to go through that.
Super. And then the second one was, I know you can integrate with HRIS tooling, but again, in a scenario where there's an integrated HRIS with disparate systems, but could you integrate with something like an LMS, like with Cornerstone, to provide learning recommendations if we could tag people, using a consistent email address, something like that?
Yeah, so what we wouldn't be the ones making those recommendations. Like, okay, let me say that again. We would be sending data to, say, Cornerstone or another LMS, and those recommendations would need to be handled on that side. We can provide, obviously, like expertise and guidance, but we're not an LMS. So, like, we wouldn't be able to show that content. We can definitely export data in an automated fashion, so those recommendations can happen elsewhere.
Okay,